What's up, guys? Thralls of Metal, Shredlord here, bringing another Screaming Toilet album review. This time, we have Mesarthim. Now, I've never heard of this band, but they released this really cool 2-song EP album on 2017 through Avant Garde Music. Now, right away, the cool thing you'll notice about this album is it has some pretty awesome artwork, and doing some research, or actually my research is just looking on the CD, see that it's from NASA and the Hubble telescope and stuff like that, so I thought that was actually pretty cool. Now, here's the weird thing about this album. Being that it was 2 songs, I thought it was either going to be one really long, boring song or a bunch of mini songs in one. And it was a bunch of mini songs in one. So the 2 song tracks here titled The Great Filter, which is about 21:33, and Type 3, not to be confused with Type 2. Common mistake, I know. But that's around 1840. So, and actually, the first track was released by the band December 11th of 2016, and then they waited 4 days to release the second part on the 20th of December, and then they just decided to compile it all into one album. So, once again, going back to how I thought this album would play out, the second option. So, musically, this album has a lot of EDM, it has a lot of heavy guitar, it has no vocals except for some high screech kind of black metal vocals every once in a while. And to me, this album seemed more like a bunch of mini songs, like movements within one song, or like a bunch of different cutscenes. It's more cinematic soundtrack like than it is an actual 1, 2, 3, 5 track, 6 track, whatever album. So that was something that kind of I needed to get used to upon my first listen, because generally I don't listen to that kind of stuff. But what I can tell you is that it was pretty good. It was very epic. All the movements, so to speak, had this really like fight or flight kind of vibe to it, like it was the score to some kind of an action movie or some kind of a video game or whatever. A lot of it started out with, a very dull kind of low, and then builds up with keyboards and stuff, and then full-on heavy guitar, metal riffs, some screaming. What they did do a good job of is good melodies, strong hooks. Like, there wasn't a lot of variation in the melody to the songs, but what they would do is, like, each movement had like 1 or 2 really big, strong hooks or melodies, and they constantly played with that, almost like a soundtrack, building and building and building, but building off the same thing, which I thought was cool. This album isn't really something I feel like you would listen to and pay attention to. It's more like have a few beers, smoke a few joints, something like that, and just kind of sit back and have it kind of playing in the background. Like, I could see myself like getting into some intense online shooter matches with this in the background and feeling like I was fucking untouchable, just kind of motivates you, like, oh shit. Once again, it's kind of that fight or flight music in the back. You're like, so that's kind of how I felt about it. Once again, it wasn't bad by any means, but it's not something I normally listen to, so at first, I couldn't get into it. And then when I listened to it again, I was like, you know what? I had to just look at it and appreciate it for what it was, because it's so against the grain of what I normally listen to, or what I want to listen to when I put on an album. So, with that being said, I'm going to give this album a 3 out of 5, which might be a little bit higher than I initially was going to rate it, but once again, each movement is really cool. Some of these movements, or whatever I keep referring them to, sound the same, but they're really epic, and they have some cool moments, and it's very triumphant, and March to Valhalla, and that kind of like a more modern vibe and stuff. So I think 3 out of 5 is fair. It's very well produced. You can tell it was very well thought out. I enjoyed the presentation and the art. And if these guys ever release something again, I might check it out just to kind of see if they continued on this path of more soundscape, atmospheric kind of music, or if they ever decided to kind of take that and focus it in to make actual, more traditional songs. I shouldn't say actual songs, but more traditional songs. So, well, if you like this album review, go go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. As always, we are the Thralls of Metal. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you later.